All right, Unit 1, Day 3, we're solving equations with grouping symbols. That means we're going to have some parentheses and might have to distribute. So our learning target is I can solve equations with grouping symbols. In other words, if you have a number in front of a parentheses, that means I'm multiplying that 3 throughout the parentheses. So it will be 3 times the 2x plus 3 times the 4. Obviously, you'd get 6x and a plus 12. So that would be your final answer with distribution. So you gotta have to know that concept to solve these equations. So let us understand that a number in front of the parentheses means I'm multiplying that number throughout the parentheses, so times 6 and times 6. Instead of writing it out 6 times n and 6 times 5, I'm going to write down the results. So 6 times n is simply 6n, and then 6 times 5 is 30. And then you need to solve this problem the exact way that we've solved several others prior to this. So a plus 30 and a minus 30, that is 0, that cancels out, so it gives me still 6n equals 72 minus 30 is 42. And divide by 6 because 6n means 6 times n. Opposite of multiplying by 6 is dividing by 6. Cancels out. N equals 7. Circle your answer. This one here. Distribute the negative 7 throughout, so negative 7 times 6 is going to be a negative 42 as a result, and negative 7 times x is going to be a minus 7x. Now if you had plus negative 7x, that's the same thing. Left side, right side, we are going to try to get rid of that minus 42 by adding 42 to both sides. You get negative 7x equals negative 42. Divide, because that's negative 7 times, the opposite of times is divide by negative 7. So we will have x equals 6. Alright, this one here, distribute the negative 2 throughout, and so we'll have negative 14x and then a plus 14. Negative times negative is positive. Equals 98. So, subtract 14 to both sides. I'll get a negative 14x. Still, that's 0 equals 84. Divide both sides by negative 14, and you'll get x equals, positive divided by negative is negative 6. Circle your answer. All right, this one's getting a little bit more complicated. You got a positive 2 being distributed throughout. We're going to do that first. So remember, there's still a 3 there. And 2 times 6 is 12x. And 2 times 4 is 8 equals 71. Now here it gets a little trickier. You have two numbers, regular numbers, on the same side of the equal sign. I would probably combine them. 3 and 8 is 11 with the 12x still. Equals 71. And then trying to get the x by itself, I will subtract 11 to both sides. You'll get 12x equals 60. And then divide both sides by 12. You would get x equals 5. All right, this one looks like there's two groupings. So let's distribute throughout on both cases. And you would get 6 minus 12x equals 12x minus 42. Oops, forgot the x there. All right, let's get x's on one side. I'm going to add 12x here and here. So you'll get 6 equals, the result is going to be 24x minus 42. Add 42 to both sides. Did not leave myself enough space, sorry about that. 48 equals 24x. So this side is 48, this is still a 24x. Divide both sides by 24. And you will get 2 equals x. All right, last one on this page, and if you are in intermediate algebraic concepts, we do not do this problem, so you can skip ahead if you like. Distribute the 8th route, distribute the 3rd route, and you would get 8b plus 8 plus 4, and you get 6b minus 24 minus 16. You have two numbers on the same side, add those together. You have two numbers on the same side, add those together. So we will have 8b plus 12 equals 6b minus 40. Get b's on one side by subtracting 6b from the right side and subtracting 6b on the left side. You get 2b plus 12 equals a negative 40. Subtract 12 to both sides. You get 2b equals negative 52. And then divide both sides by 2. Cancels. B equals negative 26. All right, not done yet. Grouping and grouping. You get 40x minus 16 equals 320 plus 40x. Getting x's on one side, maybe subtract 40x on the right side, cancels. And you'll notice they cancel on both sides. Hopefully you remember the lesson when the letters cancel out on both sides. What happens? Well, you either have a true statement, which would be all reals, or a false statement, which would be no solution. This is false. Don't write false as your final answer. You're just verifying it, and you would say no solution. All right, last example. Distribute the 4th route to give yourself 4x plus 80, and distribute the 1/5 route to give yourself 4x plus 80. Perhaps you see what's happening already. Subtract 4x to both sides. Cancels on both sides. So 80 equals 80, which is a true statement with the letters canceling out. If it's a true statement with the letters canceling out, it is all real numbers are possible and will work. And if you do this, that's okay too. All right, summary. With grouping, you distribute. The number throughout the parentheses by multiplying. You get the letter on one side, or the variable on one side. And then you solve the multiple step equation. Like so. There you go.